proper reforms for a better parliament that represents the voice of the citizens. The Assembly is a government body representing the citizens and their views, and as such it should be organized, transparent and effective in its work. Over the past years, several aspects were identified in which the Assembly can be improved with the appropriate support and expertise to ensure an improved workflow and therefore services to the citizens. To that aim, the Parliament Support Programme was established. The programme was promoted and implemented by the National Democratic Institute in cooperation with the partners Centre for Change Management and Institute for Democracy Societas Civilis in 2019 and has managed to achieve significant institutional reforms in the past 4 years, which positively impact the work of the Assembly. In continuation, you will learn more about the achieved reforms, their short and long-term accomplishments and the benefits they provide for citizens. We will present the effects into 3 areas in order to explain their impact on the creation of political flows as well as on the citizens of North Macedonia. Area 1. A more effective and professional assembly with inclusive and progressive policies. The goal of the Parliament Support Programme is to support the Assembly in its strategic planning and policy creation, but also in the process of human resources management, improvement of its oversight role, as well as in the implementation of its strategic plan through the support of public procurements. From this perspective, the Parliament Support Programme has helped to improve the institutional credibility of the Assembly and the public trust over the past 4 years by representing the interests and needs of citizens and participating in debates and decisions that are reached in a more inclusive and consensual manner. In December 2020, PSP Steering Council was established for the 2020-2024 parliamentary term to serve as a forum between the parliamentary leadership and the coordinators of all parliamentary groups to reach consensus-based decisions. In the area of multi-partite consensus, significant progress was achieved through constructive dialogues and the participation of all parliamentary groups in the decision-making process. In partnership with the Assembly, the PSP held several policy dialogue meetings in the period 2019-2022 in Berovo and Skopje, reaching consensus on the institutional development of the Parliament. In order to ensure the implementation of the reform commitments, the amendments to the law on Parliament were voted by multi-partite consensus from all parliamentary groups and allowed for independence of the parliamentary service, budget independence of the Parliament, as well as improved parliamentary broadcasting and reformed parliamentary TV channel. With the aim of enabling better planning and strategic decisions-making, an advisory board was also established as part of the current engagement of the PSP, with representatives from the parliaments of Switzerland, Estonia, Germany, as well as the European Parliament as its members. The advisory board's role is to share information on advanced practices in foreign parliaments vis-à-vis the independence of parliamentary services, digitization of parliament, as well as the oversight role and integrity policy of parliaments. A study visit to the Bundestag in Berlin, Germany was also organized in order to learn more about the oversight mechanisms that the Bundestag can apply, as well as the organization, powers and security measures and protocols of the Bundestag police. As a result of the visit, the Parliament gained more expertise in assessing the security state of affairs, needs and areas for improvement, as well as to advance the status of parliamentary security by granting it greater independence from the Ministry of Interior. Over the past period, a new 2022-2026 5-year strategic plan of the Parliament was developed for the first time. The plan is revised, updated and adopted by the Budget Council on an annual level, and the role of the PSP is to support the Parliament in the implementation of its strategic plan. On February 6, 2020, NDI and the Assembly signed a contract for financial contribution for the Assembly of North Macedonia in the amount of 1,637,207 Swiss francs. Within the framework of the financial contribution, the Assembly successfully carried out a total of 22 public procurements, including network equipment, more than 150 laptops, translation software, procurement of video conference system hardware and software, and video surveillance cameras in and around the Parliament building. then upgrade of the e-Parliament system, creation of an open data portal and development of a new website to bring the work of the Assembly closer to the public, and procurement of a video and audio equipment for the Assembly halls and appropriate equipment for the development of the Parliamentary TV studio. With additional financial support, the program procured and donated to the Assembly a passenger van, as well as a Register of Organizations software application and numerous other procurements related to the digitization of the Parliament. All these investments are strategically planned to support the work of the Assembly in the long term and to yield visible effects, which will also contribute to the improvement of the service for the benefit of citizens. The program supports the development of human resources in the Assembly in line with the needs of the parliamentary service, aiming to strengthen the professional service. This is provided by developing various documents, manuals, but also trainings and participation in conferences for the parliamentary services in order to increase their capacities. The program supported sign language courses for the parliamentary service and the MPs, thus making the Parliament more accessible to all categories of citizens. In addition to facilitating the development of the existing parliamentary service, the program also provided financial support for the salaries of 5 employees in the Parliamentary Budget Office, as well as salaries for 7 employees in the TV studio, enabling in this way the Parliamentary Budget Office and the Parliamentary TV studio to continue developing and expanding their functions and to inform the citizens about the developments in the Parliament in a timely and accurate fashion. Aligning the practice with the relevant authorities from the European Union member states is one of the key aspects when talking about progress in European integration. The CAF model aims to determine the strengths and weaknesses of the institution in order to propose measures for improvement. With the support of the program, 2 CAF cycles were implemented, resulting in action plans. In the first cycle of implementation, 90% of the measures were implemented and completed over a period of 2 years. These measures helped to reorganize the structure of the parliamentary service, digitize certain procedures, improve the flow of information in the institution, successfully implement public procurement, and ensure greater openness in the work of the Parliament. In its first phase, the program successfully implemented the Swiss Fellowship Program and provided scholarships for parliamentary service employees to improve their professional qualifications. As a result of this opportunity, 40 scholarships were awarded for postgraduate and doctoral studies, as well as for language and specialized courses. In addition, in the past 4 years, the program organized several peer exchanges between the General Secretaries and the expert services of the Parliament in the region in order to share, compare knowledge and improve the procedures and practices in the Parliament. Through strategic cooperation, which often bears fruit and results in constructive dialogues, the program provided the assistance of international and local partners through a series of visits, meetings and consultations with international and local experts, field assessment and study visits to Estonia, which resulted in an extensive digitization plan for the Parliament that is in line with international best practice. Initial results are already visible in the improvement of communication and organization of the work. But the real effects are expected in the future, when the investments in digital technologies and training of parliamentary staff will be brought to the same level, which will lead to simplification of the process in this institution. Area 2 improved analytical capacities and established clear rules for more effective implementation of the oversight and legislative function. The assessments revealed the need for greater and better parliamentary oversight of the budget execution, which prompted the establishment of a Parliamentary Budget Office supported by the program. In addition to financial resources for the salaries of the employees of the Parliamentary Budget Office, the program facilitated the networking with budget research offices from the region and beyond, and the exchange of knowledge led to positive internal reforms aligned with the best European practices. In the first phase of the project, the Parliamentary Budget Office drafted a total of 74 periodic papers, 11 training and education materials, 16 briefs and 24 thematic analyses, while also managing to respond to a total of 122 research requests. By organizing peer-level events and consultations, the program engaged the legislators and the parliamentary service in international exchanges and workshops on the topic of parliamentary ethics, including exchanges with representatives from the parliaments of the United States, Albania and Georgia. This collegial exchange and additional research on best national and international practices on ethics shaped the development of the Code of Ethics of North Macedonia and the detailed guidelines for code implementation, as well as the preparation of the training curriculum on ethics and integrity that was adopted by the Committee on Rules of Procedure and Mandatory Immunity Issues. In order to improve the quality of the laws that are adopted in the Republic of North Macedonia, the program also assisted in the drafting process of a decision on unique nomotechnical rules for drafting legislation. The decision is intended to be applied by all authorized sponsors of legislation, and its proper application will allow for having understandable and easily applicable laws, which will contribute to greater legal certainty of the citizens as a basic prerequisite for achieving the constitutional principle of the rule of law. The program supported several parliamentary committees, MPs and the parliamentary service in improving their oversight role. For instance, the program helped in organizing and holding the oversight hearings for determination of the reasons and enforcement of the laws in the procedure leading to bankruptcy of Eurostandard Bank and application of the legal provisions of the law on unregistered persons in the birth registry. The program supports the work of inter-party parliamentary groups such as the Women Parliamentary Club, the Roma Rights Group, the Group for Protection of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the Youth Caucus, the Green Caucus, and the Group for Protection of the Right of LGBTI Persons. It is within the framework of this support that the Inter-Party Parliamentary Group for Rights of the Roma held a thematic briefing on the implementation of the new strategy for the Roma in relation to housing and personal documents. As a result of the thematic discussion and the committee oversight hearing about persons who are not registered in the birth registries, amendments were drafted and sponsored to the law on registries, following which these persons have already started entering into the register system and thus gained access to equal rights, health services, education, social security and full integration in society. The Parliament Support Programme regularly conducts analysis and proposes solutions that will strengthen the oversight role of the Parliament, adding to the expertise and analytical abilities of the MPs. This kind of support also helps to better understand the importance and role of the Parliament in the process of accession to the European Union, as well as the need to strengthen parliamentary diplomacy. Which finally brings us to the third and final area of this report. Area 3. Greater involvement of the citizens in the Parliament by improving its transparency and accountability practices. The benefit for citizens from the work of the Parliament is measurable and reflected not only in their level of satisfaction, but also in their inclusion in the processes. Over the past period, the program helped reduce the gap between the citizens, civil society organizations and Parliament by implementing a series of reforms and activities which directly affected the level of openness of the Parliament. We provided assistance to the Parliament in the process of development of the second and third action plans for the Open Government Partnership in consultation with all stakeholders. The reports note significant progress in the implementation of the commitments and activities identified, with as much as 67% of the commitments having been realized to a significant extent. The most prominent progress in the implementation can be seen in the field of digitization and in the improvement of the ICT infrastructure and TV and Internet communications, the open data and the advancement of tools for openness and transparency of the Parliament. The new 3-year draft action plan for Open Parliament is based on global trends, with a focus on the programme's goals and activities for citizen participation in the work of the Parliament, access to open data and overcoming obstacles for marginalized groups. An important part of achieving full transparency is the introduction of new tools in the Parliament's work, such as the Open Data Portal, the Parliament website and the e-Parliament system. By the end of 2022, these tools have been operational and increasingly used on a daily basis, with the aim of ensuring greater accessibility and openness by providing key information about the Parliament, the MPs, their voting records, and facilitating the monitoring of events and the legislation as well as data visibility. In partnership with the Parliament, the programme organised and implemented a mobile parliamentary caravan in the fall of 2022 to bring the Parliament closer to the citizens and present it as an open and transparent institution. During the journey of the mobile Parliament caravan across the country, 49 MPs met with the citizens. The mobile caravan traveled more than 3,000 kilometers to reach 13 cities across the country where citizens could connect with the MPs and involved 1,500 citizens, children, students, workers and pensioners in the activities aimed at legislative openness, education about parliamentary activities and communication with citizens. As a result of all this, we can conclude that in the first 4 years of its implementation, the Parliament Support Programme helped to increase the institutional independence of the Assembly and its transparency and accountability, as well as to bring the Assembly closer to the citizens. In the years to come, the Parliament Support Programme will continue to support the Assembly in its efforts to improve its practices and strengthen its role to not only be at the service of the citizens, but also to fully assume its role as an institution of the citizens.